What's up, scholars? This is Caden with Black Books Animated, and today we're going to be doing a quick review of and discussing a Black History Reader 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask by Dr. Claud Anderson. And so this is just an introduction to the book, so if you haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Within a nation that perceives itself as the world's greatest superpower, worldwide police force, and a home for immigrants seeking the so-called American dream, Black Americans are a forgotten people who remain an impoverished outgroup and an abandoned labor class. After nearly 500 years of institutionalized slavery, Jim Crow semi-slavery, public policies of benign neglect, and political correctness, Blacks are co-signed to the lowest level of this nation's ranking order of social acceptability. In this book, I try to answer the question why. In coming to an understanding of the fixed position of Black America at the bottom of the well, we must first come to terms with what has changed and what has not changed in race matters, especially in urban areas, immigration, economics, and other aspects of policy in the United States. The internal strength of the country is connected to the fate of Blacks, a significant population group within the country. There are mutual benefits for mainstream society and Black Americans to fully understand the nature of the Black dilemma. Although race is an uncomfortable and almost taboo topic, for those who truly want Black people to be a self-sufficient group within America's society, race must be examined. But any examination must be based on an understanding of history and facts. In all my books, my goal has been to clarify the issue of race for the purpose of corrective action. That is also the case in this book, A Black History Reader. The purpose of a Black History Reader is threefold. The first purpose is to present to the reader the nation's constitutional-based social construct that historically established and fixed the racial relationship between Blacks and whites. The Constitution was the nation's first affirmative action plan. It assured the maldistribution of nearly 100% of the nation's wealth and resources into the hands of whites, who subsequently bequeathed their unearned wealth, power, rights, privilege, and resources into the hands of succeeding generation of whites. Contrarily, the descendants of slaves were left impoverished and powerless. This constitution-based disparity between Blacks and whites was kept intact by the U.S. Supreme Court, the chief guardian of racism, and other courts, educational institutions, conservative ideology, and extra-legal activities of groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, the White Citizen Council, and the modern-day Freedom Party. The second purpose of the book is to declare the exceptionality of the descendants of slaves in America, their unique and substantive contribution to the development of this country, and their maltreatment by all segments of the society. Their exceptionality distinguished them from any other group in America. The third purpose of the book is to highlight the acute need in Black America for long overdue reparations based on the exceptionality of the way their groups has viewed and been treated. In our journey forward, Native Black Americans must be recognized, compensated, and put into a protected class like Native Americans. It is my hope that this book, PowerNomics, the national plan to empower Black America, will inspire new thinking, which will grow a more conscious class of Black leadership that will design and assert a new, transformative social construct, including a new Black code of conduct that puts the interests of Blacks foremost. A new social construct will require society to unlearn prevailing myths, lies, assumption, and distortion about Blacks, whites, racism, and political correctness. This shift will not come easily. It will be met with pushback by mainstream society and many in the Black overclass, which is made up of Black civil rights leaders, ministers, and elected officials. Newly trained thinkers who understand PowerNomics principles and strategies will design a new social construct on race that will replace social integration and civil rights. From these new thinkers should arise new black leadership who will produce a new legal infrastructure in which blacks are included as system beneficiaries, guide the black masses to build functioning black economic communities, set up black independent political parties, and assert the value of black lives. A Black history reader explained how racism became embedded into our nation culture and offer a new direction. It explains how overt racism that was expressed in slavery progressed through Jim Crow segregation, then became submerged and replaced by benign neglect and political correctness policies that continue to demonstrate hateful indifference towards black people. The purpose and net effect of these two policies rendered blacks invisible and irrelevant. The Black Civil Rights Movement, though well-intentioned, sought integration based on the assumption that all people were equal. Equality of the race was not intended under the Constitution. Blacks were designated specifically as a laboring class of property to be controlled by the dominant white society. Consequently, blacks have never been able to acquire more than 0.5% of the nation's wealth or anything of value. Even after blacks acquired voting rights, without wealth or political influence, their votes were easily rendered null and void. National immigration policies kept blacks as the only permanent minority within a society where the majority wins and the minority loses. Blacks are now a permanent minority in every respect. For example, in two important sectors, politics and business ownership, blacks represent less than 0.5% of the nation's elected officials and are less than 0.5% of the nation's business owners. These historical conditions are not accidental. They reflect the enduring qualities of the design of the founding social construct on race that was codified in the Constitution. These constitution-based race disparities allowed whites to dominate and control blacks in all respects throughout the centuries. Although blacks were intended to be at the bottom, that status can be changed if blacks and our society truthfully assess the circumstances created and have the courage and fortitude to take the necessary steps prescribed in this and my other works. The goal of my collective work is for Black America to become self-sufficient and competitive as a group. In a Black History Reader, I offer Black Americans and others who seek true racial justice a way to build a future in which the unique history and socioeconomic needs of Black Americans are considered. I invite you to join me in that quest. All right, family, that was the introduction to a Black History Reader by Dr. Claud Anderson. If you don't already have a copy of this book, you certainly want to pick one up. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. And like I always say, knowledge is power, but knowledge shared is power multiplied.